Well, it worked in Splatoon 1, I would say, for... You know, like, it made sense, given that essentially what we saw in Splatoon 1 was much more close quarters, quick. It was even quicker than Splatoon 2 is, which is still fairly quick and fast-paced.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say maybe that's the distinguishing, and that's why Walleye Warehouse could succeed in an environment like that, and with a game like that. Either way, sorry, we're getting into the middle of this one. Elevate is getting off to a nice start here, although kind of a bloodbath at the beginning, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We saw Kiwi there get into a really bad situation with 3 people aiming them down, and I mean, hopefully we can see them get back in. I guess Kiwi goes down too. Again, the roller v roller matchup here is pretty strong.
Right on, yeah. So we have MC here coming in for, again, Elevate there with the Mountain-ish tag. They do see 2 people coming in from their right side, and one will trade with the other, and that leaves a 1v1 left to be said with. Fried is going to be able to take them down there, and I believe it's going to be Elevate able to wrap this one up. Interesting. Yeah, okay, they do. So they win that game, but, like, map control, that was a really interesting 100-0, because I felt like map control specifically did not reflect that 100-0, or just like ink on the ground.
It looked like a lot of Riptide Royals trying to push and take zone, but getting distracted and losing sight of Elevate, and then Elevate managed to take advantage of that and pick them off before they could paint much.
Right. That's a really good way of putting it. Just like kind of losing track of it all in the middle, getting back in the middle, because yeah, it didn't really feel like fight. That was just weird. I don't know how else to put it. But either way, that's going to be Elevate taking that one in a knockout form, and proceeding just like that to Tower Control and Snapper Canal. This will probably be a little bit more slow paced, given that we did see Riptide Royals kind of hang in there a little bit better, or at least not as much as this score reflected. So TLDR, we'll see.
And I mean, Tower Control always moves a little bit slower just because Stingray exists.
True. We'll want to make sure and we'll keep our eyes on the top of our screen towards the beginning of the match and make sure that they do have that Stingray accounted for. There's some teams we've seen even recently don't, and don't care for certain positions, like I don't know, a backline. Sometimes teams feel like
but even they ran a Stingray.
And we do see Riptide here coming in and loading up. They're going to be in the yellow, and Elevate in the purple coming up here. Also, just want to take a second. Thank you to everyone that subscribed so far. I actually did not realize that had happened until I just saw chat. So thank you to everyone that subscribed. Really, really appreciate it. Back to the match. Drake and Co., the famous rapper, getting on top of the tower. Unfortunately not able to get the spot they maybe wanted. That Stingray from that close was so cool to see. I did not think that was going to work out.
They were just enough around the corner to avoid the shots from the bucket and still get that pick.
Saloy here, unfortunately not able to get the range they quite needed on that roller spray to get that. Fried with the quick double kill, was maybe able to get the triple as they just saw the third person coming in on that incline, but does get taken out nonetheless. Elevate taking control of this game as quick as that. That's 3 down again for Riptide Royals, and now Elevate in a great position to move this one up. Fried here kind of acting as that front line, sneaking behind under the unsuspecting Riptide Royals side, and looks like they will be able to team up and get a splat there. Bubbles into, of course, the base of Riptide Royals, and they're going to move this one towards that second checkpoint. This is looking pretty gross.
Yeah, unfortunately what we're kind of seeing is Riptide Royals is dropping into enemy territory, not knowing what's beneath them or if it's a safe drop. And it's kind of not paying off for them.
Unfortunately, yeah. Elevate does get this. Okay, if we're gonna have our front line, our back line be front line, and vice versa, that's fine. Oh my goodness, the Aku just kind of walked up, I guess.
that snipe there was just. I don't know how they didn't panic seeing a shooter that close to them, but okay.
Yeah, like my screen is vibrating if that happens. Like I don't have an aim at that point.
Oh yeah, no.
We look, yeah, it's looking like that roller is going to have a nice camping experience here. Riptide Roll is going to get taken around the inflatables. Bubbles do go out there. And all the same, it's going to be Elevate going to be able to take that one and run it down their base. It was looking like a little bit closer match towards the beginning of it, but as soon as Elevate got control, it was curtains.
Yeah, as soon as Elevate had that paint control, Riptide Royals didn't really have much room to move around, and for a roller, that's deadly, especially. So it was just unfortunate they couldn't get that paint control back, and were instead picked off.
Despite that, the roller's still like performing and getting a second at least in terms of splats. So
yeah,
despite that, like still able to perform like I guess relatively well in that time span. That's a good that's a good point to point out. Is like how much better could they have done if they had a better, more optimal position to be in, given the position of the tower and where they were on the map, which was their spawn.
Yes, their spawn. Unfortunately.
Cool.
You never want the most active part of the map to be your spawn.
Yeah, generally at that point, I think it's game over at that point when that happens.
Their spawn, fine. Mid, fine. Your spawn,
yeah, that's where it gets messy. Also, incorrect on the screen right now. It is not the Reef coming up on Splatoon, but it is Humpback Pump Track, and that is being updated. So yeah, no, that is more or less what we're seeing coming up here. And
but are we playing Chips Ahoy Chewy?
That is a good point. You know what? No, that's for yeah. You know what? We're just gonna change a few values here.
Tenebrella coming out on Humpback Pump Track is an interesting choice.
Ooh, okay. We're seeing some things change up here between the teams, and we'll see if Kiwi can really bring it home. I don't think we've seen Tenebrella yet in tournament. I mean,
no.
Fair to say that it's probably not one of the more popular picks. Ooh, but it looks like it might have worked out.
That's the Sorella Tenebrella.
Oh,
good point. Right.
Well,
which is interesting.
Right. And where would you guys say that like that kind of stands currently in the current meta? The answer might be not at all, but
it's like maybe justifiable if the enemy team also has a Tenebrella.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I don't think there's really any reason to play it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so more so maybe just like really flexing it and just like trying to practice it maybe in this game. Either way, if nothing else, I mean, I've seen kind of openings created from that Brella, and so far it hasn't been the worst thing that's come out. We do see the Inkjet here, and still a good amount of blue control over the middle of the zone, so Riptide Royals, despite maybe some questionable composition takes just in general, they still are kind of holding up, both in neutral and objective, so this is still promising to see. We do see the bubbles coming out as well, and now Drake, maybe a little bit mispositioned from the rest of the action. Might get taken out with this 1v1. Yes, that's a trade. That's a good trade for Riptide Royals.
And we don't see as many zone capping specials on the side of Elevate, but it looks like they might just be confident enough in their own aggression to not feel like they need it.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, given the result of the two first games, I mean, that makes sense. Drake there on the other side of the map, really pushing aggressively with that slosher, but unfortunately doesn't have the range to get onto Tiki, and that's unfortunate for Elevate, because that's going to mean the bubbles are going to be able to come in really easily and put a stop once again to that, forcing the penalty, and this is just not an easy one for Elevate. This feels like a completely different game and a completely different set, and I have no idea where this came from, honestly.
Honestly, though, we're seeing Riptide Royals pull out just a level here that we didn't see the past two matches, and I'm excited.
Yeah, no, because it's like, this is kind of what we saw for Los Inklings in a way, except to a larger degree, because Los Inklings still kept up with their first two games. The first two games have been complete knockouts, and so for Aku here, the bubbles coming out and the rest of their team, this is a pretty good substantial comeback to be able to make. They are on top of the middle of the zone, do spot out a 1v1 to the left of us, but just as will go down. That's another one going down on top of the zone, and that's 2 total for Riptide Royals, 3 total going down now, maybe a 4th. I think that was either way, it's more or less a wipeout. That's going to be the penalty gone for them. And finally, something going Elevate's way here. Let's see if Riptide Royals, as they have been able to do in the past, are able to rally around and get towards the zone. Looks like that might be the case here. Kiwi here, off on the side here, getting to the middle zone.
We're seeing Kiwi get a little bit too hasty, but it's paying off still.
Yeah, playing fairly aggressive with Umbrella. It didn't look like they had too many people around them, but my goodness. The bombs to just prove us wrong and just fill the air with blue ink. That's going to be control for them, and job well done to be able to enter and coordinate that entrance together. Justice on the Inkjet once again does get the splat. Nice job well done for them. Now I think it's a kind of question of if they're able to really leverage this advantage to push further out, because even though Riptide Royals, I feel, have had the lead for a good bit, they haven't really pushed too far. You'll notice that here on our screen too.
Yeah, we haven't seen them move up as much as we've seen Elevate try to move up, but they're still holding their own in mid, I guess, until a 3-down situation. But
that honestly, that might be the thing that is kind of separating these two teams. Honestly, maybe it's that, you know, Riptide Royals, they lost the first few games and weren't feeling the most confident in themselves, and now that they have those places with the zone and they are in a good position to move forward, they might not feel as confident in themselves to be able to do that. I don't know. It's interesting.
Bomb Rush v Bomb Rush here in zone. We can see who will take this.
That's gonna be a one going in Riptide World's favor, I believe. How have they not capped zone? Okay, they are able to cap zone there. This is going to be the test, I think. I mean, if they are able to push this one out, it just does seem like they do want to be able to get pretty aggressive there, but it looks like nothing doing to yet, and they're going to really rely on winning their fights in front of drop here. So Kiwi here, ooh, not able to get that Brilla out in time. There is a penalty, but there's not much time left, and looking like this is going to be 3-0 for Elevate here.
Unfortunately, with so little time left and so far from mid, I don't know that we're going to be able to get back in there.
That's a double kill coming out. That's Riptide Roll saying goodbye, farewell, au revoir, or, well, I guess they speak English down under, so it is a goodbye. And that's going to be 3-0 for Elevate. I miss hearing the Aussie accent on a regular basis. That was a great chapter in my life. But unfortunately, Riptide Royals are going to go down there. 18 splats for, how do you say that? Siloy?
Silioi, maybe?
Silioi. Yeah, I like that. That sounds better. I'll go with that.
So, because it's definitely SOL, so soul, but there's an I there before the next O.
Right, yeah. I guess I could, I don't know, like, English is such a weird language that sometimes I'm pronouncing letters I don't see, and I don't know, I roll with it. I don't know.
Well, luckily we have the player in chat to tell us it's Solio.
Oh, cool. Hi, Cilio. So, okay, we got that right then. Then I can proceed with my life knowing that I can cast that correctly. That's good. Yes, needed that. Chips Ahoy Chewy on the reef coming on up. That's what the teleprompter is telling me right now.
My favorite map mode.
You know what? I forgot I had my milk and cookies. And to translate for the viewers, that means Rainmaker for the record. So we've seen Rainmaker come on up fairly shortly. This could be the game where Riptide Royals turns it around.
I mean, with all the changes to this map, it's definitely changed the dynamic of it. I'm interested to see how these teams play it out.
Could you speak to maybe that changed dynamic then? Because I think the common narrative, you know, for the year plus that Splatoon was out, for a while was, yeah, I mean, if you get Rainmaker first and you just get like a wipe, it's kind of done.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah.
And it still kind of works like that, but what it used to be is the best push you could take, the safest push you could take, was up through closed on left. And the unfortunate part there being is if your opponent had a Stingray, they could just wipe out your entire team and stop a push instantly. But now on the new Reef, there's still the option to push up that left side, but it's not the best way to push anymore. You actually can push straight up a lot more easily and safely, which causes a pretty huge bloodbath there in front of your own spawn.
I want to see some bloodbaths. That's all.
Don't we always want to see bloodbaths?
That's all. Look, if you're telling me the difference between the Reef was a bloodbath here versus a bloodbath there, cool. Thumbs up.
I find just Stingray not quite as strong here as it used to be, which is always nice.
Good, because it feels like definitely a little bit more wider Like, sure, like the same options, kind of similar options are there, but the viability of those options of approaching each side of the map is a little bit more equal. So that means, yeah, that Stingray is going to have to be aware of and pointing a lot more places than just the one similar place that teams would always go.
Yeah.
Fight off, starting off in the middle here, and that's going to be 1 person down for Elevate versus 3 down for Riptide Royals, and Kiwi, what? How in the heck?
Kiwi decided that their entire team was dead, might as well go.
And that, you know, that sometimes is going to be the saving grace for a team. That could really do something for Riptide Royals here. Unfortunately, Justice not quite able to get on the ink pit, but still, job well done. Great awareness on Kiwi's behalf. But I think that we're going to see the lead turn over to maybe Elevate's side. It's not going to happen just yet right now. Kiwi again, just in the right position to be able to stop that one.
I like seeing Kiwi pick this up, honestly. The weapon choice and the balance that they need here.
Actually, I would love to hear just like thoughts in general on just like, even just who takes the Rainmaker, right? Because I think that's something we can overlook very quickly, whether it be in the middle of the cast or in the middle of the game that we're playing. Is just like, why does it matter that one person in particular gets this Rainmaker? So, yeah, is it? Oh, okay. Maybe we should talk about that right now because Drake is getting on top of zone. That is Bubbles coming out in front of the Rainmaker as well, making it a little bit safer.
A dunk.
That is looking like a dunk, a Rooney, and a half. I don't know why I said that. I'm so sorry. But that is 4-0. Sorry, that came from somewhere. That came from like MySpace me or something. I don't know.
Bless.
And that's gonna be a knockout once again for Elevate. 4-0 is the total right now. Heading into the next and last game, Splatoon Starfish main stage. We'll see if there's any change up here. Kiwi, of course, was able to ruffle some jimmies towards the beginning of that one, but wasn't a long-lasted. Are you laughing? Are you laughing at my terminology?
Maybe.
Okay. Cool. Sweet. Well, we'll see how this goes. In the meantime, as I believe we have our teams getting ready up here. It's going to be, if I'm not mistaken, Anchovy Games coming up. So I'm just flubbing at this point on which matches we're actually seeing. But you know what? If I had to choose between flubbing between the map list and Chips Ahoy Chewy, you can probably guess the answer in that one.
Very true. Yeah, definitely here. We saw this one earlier where we saw a little bit less paint than we'd like to see and a little bit of a lack of aggression against a team that had been showing aggression. So with these guys, especially with how we've been seeing them play, I'd like to see Riptide Royals pull out a little bit more paint to try to stop their opponents in their tracks.
Now, do you think that requires any significant changes to their existing weapon composition? I mean, because I think there have been slight changes, but there hasn't been anything too drastic.
I mean, the biggest one I'd like to see is maybe losing the 10 umbrella.
Right,
especially on this map.
Yeah.
It doesn't provide nearly enough paint or aggression to be able to handle their opponents right now.
Yeah. And I think, you know, there's always the context of going into a tournament and practicing a certain weapon, right? And,
yeah,
you know, there's always going to be some degree of validity to that, and sure, you know, go for it. But, you know, there's also the element of being able to practice. And this definitely feels like these are, you know, two straight up just like teams. These aren't pickup teams. So
yeah,
there is also the element, which I would consider maybe even more important, is just practicing coordinated weapon compositions together.
yeah.
Less than the individual weapon itself. So we'll see if those changes happen. We'll see very shortly as the map is loading up and we're getting started with this one, as we'll have Riptide Royal in the yellow and Elevate in that light blue. Interesting enough, we are going to see. Nope, Kiwi's still rocking the
Yeah.
umbrella here, so nothing doing in
Some
terms of
really
changes.
interesting weapon picks here.
Oh wait, no, there are
Leader,
some changes actually. Never mind there.
A Rapid Deco and Explosion on the side of Elevate.
They're having a go. They're having a go.
This is something.
I'm
we
sure
see the new Ken Jr. coming out.
I'm sure there's an Australian phrase for what's happening here. I don't quite remember it, and it might not be safe for stream, but I'm sure there is I'm sure there is a phrase for it. Splashdown does come out. Ooh, does somehow burst the bubble right next to the Splashdown and still doesn't get the splat. Interesting. Fried will be able to help get an assist onto a splat. There is, I believe, a few two specials at the ready for Riptide rolls. They aren't even in a great position, honestly, right now, but still somehow alive and on top of the zones right now. Baller is around it. Still somehow controlled, not in Riptide Royals' favor, despite the fact that they went as around the other team as much as possible. Had some specials in the middle of the zone, still weren't able to turn it on.
Unfortunately, with sticking with that 10 umbrella and pulling it in E-leader, they've lost a lot of aggression and paint that they're going to need in this match.
Yeah, that lack of paint, like what you, I mean, you have two dualies, right, for all of your real needs for Ink, and compare that to, well, I guess it really isn't that much worse than Elevate, but it's still like
the
not
junior though.
Fair. Yeah, the junior by
paint
itself.
is just solid.
Right, no, I guess I did miss that, yeah. Well, either way, I mean, for one reason or another, which I think we're going to take a spit and say it's somewhat related to weapon composition picks, I think that's going to be the 5-0 coming in favor for Elevate there. Job well done for the clean sweep. As that will be the end of our round 3 for Swiss Pools, and that will more or less just